Hello everyone, welcome to yet another episode of Hoop Room at Hoopsters. As you are aware, we try our best to address topics that are relevant and provide answers to questions that many are seeking but are afraid to ask. We also believe that people who are in the situation are the best advisors and one can learn a lot from them. By having people come out and speak about what they are going through or how they are dealing with a given situation helps overcome the stigma around the subject and solutions become easier to find. Today we have with us Lakshita, a 25-year-old, who has agreed to come and speak to us about what it is like to be an autistic individual in today's world. Thank you, Lakshita. Thanks for coming on board. I mean, people like you are very important to us.
Thank you, sir.
And I hope you enjoy the next 1 hour. And anybody and people in the audience, if you have questions, please type it down and we will have a question and answer session end. This is a very important subject and it's something which needs to be addressed. So please feel free to ask anything you want. Okay. So Lakshita, let's begin with the very basic thing. Why did you agree to come on this show?
I wanted to raise awareness, and nobody knows anything about autism here, and they think it's just a white people disease. Like it's not even a disease; it's a neurodiversity. And
Okay, Rushali and gang, please switch off your audio. Everybody else, please switch off your audios. Manas, please switch off your audios and we need to carry on with it. Okay.
so yeah,
Actually,
it is a new.
tell us
Yeah,
about your life. I mean, we can take it from there. And see how-
I am a late identified autistic woman, where life had so much of challenges with me, and I didn't know that I was autistic until 24 of age. And my story is also interesting as to how I found out I was autistic.
Rushali, can you please
I
switch off your audio? Rushali? Okay. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, Lakshita, all yours.
so I was actually not even aware that I was autistic, but I was classic, like when you see the dictionary of autistic behavior and you uh, coordinate my behavior to it, you would find out I'm autistic. But being in India, where mental health is ignored, and every time it's like when we talk about neurodiversity or something, they think we are crazy. They think that something is wrong with us
Okay,
being autistic.
you said you're very typical autistic. So what is an autistic person all about?
It's all about stimming, hyper focus, and sensory overload. And there are so many things. And as in my community, there's a saying that if you meet one autistic person, you have met only one. I can't speak for the others, but I have to speak for myself. And in this process, I can enlighten people about what it means for me to be autistic. So there is no such thing as typical autistic. It's not a linear spectrum where you have high functioning at one end and low at the other. Everybody has a different support needs, and I happen to have a medium function autistic behavior, which means I stimming meaning stimulatory behavior, which is a repetitive behavior, and I hyper focus, and I have so many other issues which is typical to autistic behavior. And I'm asexual too. So I am asexual because of me being autistic. Because as it is said, I have a very complicated relation towards emotions, and eye contact is all wrong for me. I don't know how to make a proper eye contact. Speaking is kind of hard, and it is kind of it has so much of difficulties which I have gone through my life not knowing I was autistic. And my story towards how I found myself is also interesting. I don't know where to pour myself into. I joined Facebook groups which talks about anxiety disorders. So I started posting my stories there. One person from Australia was like, "You are not a neurotypical person. All your struggles are matching to an autistic person." I couldn't believe it for myself because to me, living in India, I thought, मैं पागल नहीं हूँ. I am not mad. मुझे कोई disease नहीं है. I am not a diseased person. So I don't want to believe you. So,
Okay, Lakshita, tell us a bit about your childhood. Let's start from the very beginning.
well, I was disciplined a lot, traumatized, and I used to pluck my hair as a coping mechanism. Like, as autistic people, we have a lot of comorbid conditions. So trichotillomania is one where I used to pluck my hair, and I used to be bullied where I didn't know what people expected of me and what I should behave, how I should behave. I was bullied my whole childhood in my school and in my house. Cousins used to bully me, saying that, "Oh, Lakshita, she's just in a one corner sitting in, not knowing what she's doing, and she kind of does not mingle with people. She's only with books. She's only with her toys." And toys I didn't used to play. I used to line things up. Like, I never used to, for example, you have kitchen set. I never used to play with those. I used to arrange them. Books, I used to arrange them. Blocks, I mean, what is it? Legos, I used to arrange them. Everything I used to arrange in pattern wise. And I didn't know. It was all autistic thing. And I didn't know that normal people don't play that way. But I was playing that way. To me, that was play. But when I was playing with my cousins once, they were like, "You're not supposed to play like this. You're supposed to play the other way." And I was a little bit weak in studies because those were not my area, and the schooling was kind of neurotypical schools where you have to regurgitate and memorize stuff. I had a pretty photographic memory, but that memory didn't help me because I had to understand the concept, and those were not my special interest subjects at all. In some subjects I used to do extremely well, like physics and science, but in some subjects I used to do extremely poor at history or geography or something like that.
Lakshita,
So
can you move the camera slightly so you're more in the center? Yeah, thanks. Okay, tell me, Lakshita, when did you first even realize that there was an issue? Or did you even realize it?
I had issues all throughout my childhood, but I didn't know what problems I had. I was stimming. I used to run back and forth in my house. I used to flap my hands. I used to pluck my hair, like all typical stim an autistic person would do. But I thought I something is wrong with me. I'm crazy, and I always knew I was different. Like, I didn't have any emotions. I didn't know what to feel for my parents. I didn't know what to feel for my siblings. I didn't know how to name feelings. And even today, I don't know how to feel for anyone.
So, how did your parents react to it? I mean, I'm sure
My
they
parents
noticed.
don't want to believe me. And in India, there's a stigma saying that mental health does not exist and all are normal and nobody needs certain help from someone.
So, how did your parents react? So, what was the reaction?
They don't even want to believe it.
So, when you're growing up, would they take you out, and how did they, when they take you out, or how they introduce you to relatives, family functions? And you
I
come from
used
a
to,
very, very strong, Orthodox background. So, how
yeah.
was all this affecting you?
Well, first and foremost, as a woman and as a girl, we are expected to be talkative people. And when we don't do that, they keep telling us, "Go out, mingle with people, go out, mingle with people. Books are not your life. Go out, mingle with people." For me, social interaction was painful. For me, it used to be physically painful because too much of sensory input, people chatting loudly, people eating loudly, people breathing also used to affect me so much. And if in a room there are more than three people, I get claustrophobic. I mean, I get hyper agitated, and I don't know what to talk. I'm not good at small talks and talking. I had to script everything, like, when I go there, what is the first question, how are you, and everything had to be written so that I don't go and screw that up.
So, fine. I mean, I'm sure your parents noticed. So, what would they come and tell you?
They tell me that I'm just being very shy. The shy became changed into saying that, "Oh God, you hate your family. That's why you don't want to talk." From the shy label, they put me in an anti-social label. And then from that too, I had to learn why I was different.
So how did you learn that?
by Facebook groups.
So how useful are these Facebook groups, and how non-useful are they?
Huh?
Of,
What?
of group can be useful and not useful. So the groups
Actually,
that,
for me,
and there are lots of groups which are, which are around autism. So how
yeah.
useful are they?
For me, autism, there are so many groups like Surprise You're Autistic, run by Diane J. Wright. And I've been autistic all along. Those are all for autistic individuals where we pour out our stories. Where when I read these stories, and then actually I was curious to know what was autism when my friend told me through Facebook that you might be autistic. Because first I thought I was asexual. I'm still asexual. So in that group, I used to post my struggle, asexual support groups. Someone told me all your struggle is autistic based struggle. I would want you to look into it. I was curious as to what it is really. And then when I heard the traits of autism, I didn't feel it was describing autistic traits. I felt it was describing Lakshita's traits. I was like, oh my God, they're talking about me. Flapping is normal. And I did not see anyone flap their hands like me. So I was like, my mom used to tell me, koi bhoot chudail sar pe aa gayi ho, or all that stupid superstitions, right? Yeah, like, I used to shake my legs. She used to say, me, your uncle's stomach is going to pain. Or something. She used to be very controlling, saying that you will be laughed at if you do this, or you will not look good if you do this. Society will not accept you, and all that. So I started pouring myself out in Facebook groups, and I got the answer that I was autistic. Then after in this recently, I went to my friend is a psychiatrist. She was like, I don't even have to diagnose you. I know you are autistic, but I didn't want to tell you that you are autistic.
But why did it take you so long to go seek help?
I live in a small town called Nilgiris. There is no mental health facility available here. And right now it's all COVID based, so everything became online, and it became very easy to access mental health through BetterHelp and all the other apps which is required for mental health.
But before the COVID also, there were a lot of online counseling that were happening. Didn't you
I
seek
was
it
not
out?
aware.
You're not.
I was not aware because I was not into Facebook and all those things, because I was in college where phones were not allowed. And then when I used to come home, I never used to look at phone that much. But now when pandemic hit, phone became my best friend because I needed to vent somewhere. Then
Okay, sorry, Lakshya. I mean, you were in school. How was school like? How were your friends like? How were your teachers like?
they
Well, I'm
used
sure
to
you went
bully
to a
me.
neurotypical school.
Yeah, there is a phenomenon called masking. One
Okay,
minute, sir. Excuse
sure,
me.
sure.
Sorry, sir. So school friends used to bully me. I didn't know that they were bullying me. I thought friends are supposed to behave like this.
When you say
And
bullying, what would they do?
they would make fun of me, tease me, say me all bad things that, oh God, Lakshita is so, like, innocent and naive. She won't understand what we are doing to her. So they used to, go and complain to teachers that I am causing troubles for them. But in reality, I never used to do that. Then I didn't know how to lie. And it was so bad. And then I had to change friendship over and over again. Group, right? One group, two groups, three groups, everybody is in the group. I changed my group 4 to 5 times, never found I fit anywhere. I thought maybe I'm too demanding and I have a picky choice as to whom should I be with. So I ended up being alone. Then friends used to bully me, and now I have few friends who stood by me, but it was very hard for me to make friends. I would always say one friend adopted me and she assimilated me into her group.
So, what do you think was wrong? What do you think is wrong in the school level? What about teachers? What about management?
I used to sit and have my lunch with my English teacher because I liked English a lot. literature, grammar, and all those were my special interest. And even during lunch, students don't encourage talking about all this, but teachers get kind of, good feeling that a student is wanting to discuss about this even after in the lunch break. So I used to sit with teachers and have my lunch. And I didn't even know that it is not normal for a person to have lunches with teachers. Or I used to be alone, and sometimes I have sensory issues towards food too. I am a very picky eater because autistic people are generally very picky eaters, and I didn't know I was autistic. So I was like, maybe I'm just being a snubby eater or very bad person or something like that, and I'm giving trouble to my parents saying I don't want to eat this, I don't want to eat that.
So how did your sister, or your sibling, right? Your sister?
She's just 6 years old.
Oh, she's 6 years old. Okay. And what about your relatives? How did they react? Your cousins and
They
other
used to
people?
call me alien. They used to call me alien. They used to tell me, तुझे Jupiter से उठा के लेके आए हैं. And or that you are not one among us. You're unique. You're different.
So how did you manage it? I mean, you're young, you're going through all this. So how did you manage it? How did you deal with it?
I was all time depressed. Anxiety and panic attacks were common. I used to melt down and cry at the night. Sometimes I used to cry in the middle of the road, and all that kind of typical behavior. I used to think I'm throwing tantrum everywhere.
So, how did you deal with your depression or your anxiety and
Bottle it up, cry.
Okay. So as you grew up, what were the changes that you noticed? I'm from school, you became a
I
teenager,
felt like
and
I felt like at the age of 16 or 17, everybody was having boyfriend. Even we are supposed to have boyfriend. And that time I was like, okay, we'll have a chance. I just randomly found a guy. And then I was like, we have to date because everybody in my friends circle is dating. So that is normal. And then it didn't make sense to me. And then when I used to speak to my friends about all this, they used to say, you're not even in love with this person. Why do you want to waste your time? I was like, I'm not in love with anyone. And this is the most I can feel. You're just describing some business relationship with your boyfriend. That's not how you're supposed to be. And they used to explain what crushes used to be and what emotions they feel, like the feeling that when you're in love you don't want to eat, you don't want to sleep. They used to tell me all this, and then I was like, to my disbelief, I never used to feel all that.
what about with your friends? Did you have any feelings for your friends?
No.
Okay.
I just like, I generally I don't prefer friends actually. I'm like a person like, just because I don't want to be alone, because when I'm alone, people make fun of me. So I just stick on to the group. I don't talk to them. They talk their own topics and I just don't go along with it.
Okay. Okay, you're talking about your boyfriend and stuff, lad. Okay, now the thing is you didn't feel anything. So how did
Yeah.
you react to that? How did you react to the fact that you never felt anything? Because you also had brought in this whole thing that you found yourself to be asexual. Okay. So how did you realize these things?
I was at the age of 22. Till 16, I broke up with them saying, I don't love you because whatever my friends are describing, I'm not feeling for you. And then he was like, if you kiss, let me see if you kiss, if you feel something. He kissed me. I didn't feel anything. And then we had to break up because it was no point in a relationship which has no purpose in it, where one person is feeling everything and when one is not. Then till then 10th standard public exam, 12th happened. Then I was in college. Then I was totally into academics. Like I have to focus on academic wise. Then at the age of 21, when I finished my college, I thought maybe I'm CA student and I have to join CA course. So I have to keep all these feelings at bay. But then I didn't feel the necessity to go out and find a relationship. But after leaving my CA after 2 years, at the age of 21, 22, when all my friends started getting married and they started talking about crushes, I was like, I have to research as to why I'm not feeling all this for anyone. First it was boys. Then I thought I was a lesbian. Then I I had a relationship with a girl in Facebook. We spoke, yeah, but I didn't feel anything for her. Then I came to a conclusion because I only know LGBT that time. Then I was like, maybe I'm bisexual or something. But then, to my disbelief, I didn't feel anything for anyone.
So what about your school? Let's get back to school. What were your teachers like?
Some teachers were telling me you have to show some emotions, you have to show some kind of, action, you have to be expressive, you are just like a robot with no feelings. Then they were like, you don't even realize that people are bullying you, people are taking advantage of you. They used to tell me all this. My teachers used to call my parents saying that I'm not active in class, or that I'm just being sick all the time, I'm just sleeping because of my headache, I'm just doing this. And at one point I was like, maybe I'm not meant to be in school. And even now in CA course, where everybody of my peers get cleared, where there is gray thinking, there is a lot of assumptions in CA course, and I can't assume in examination. If I have to learn, I need to understand the everything of it. I cannot just assume things easily.
So what's the
So
biggest problem you face, Lakshita? And for people who, what is it? Because we hear so
shyness and
much about.
anxiety.
Hmm,
Shyness, which later changed into anxiety.
okay. You also talked to me about, what do you call that?
Mhm.
Yesterday when you talked to me about, your anxiety attack and how do you
Panic
go,
attack.
panic attack where you go into silence. What's it called? Um,
Non-verbal episodes.
Non-verbal episodes. What exactly is that?
Like when I'm too overwhelmed, I cannot put words in my mouth. For example, I think this interview was supposed to happen at 7 o'clock. Today I was having pretty little extra bad day. So I had a panic attack yesterday. So I am just recovering from it.
I mean, it's interesting. How did you manage to gear yourself up and come and talk like this?
I had to do grounding technique. I had to tell myself everything is okay, you're safe. Self affirmations are important. So I kept telling myself it's going to be all right, it's going to be all right.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. I mean, it's a real pleasure having you think. So, okay, as you grew up, I know you also told that people who are autistic are also very creative, right?
Hmm?
So,
Yeah.
is there any truth in that? Do you see yourself being creative? Do you see yourself?
I see myself as a person who writes very good poetry.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay.
And I kind of, I can speak on the spot.
Hmm.
And I am into US politics, and all those are my special interests, like finance and accounting, auditing, taxation. All those are my really special interests.
So, how did you choose chartered accountancy? And what told you that you're good in that?
Numbers.
Okay, can you explain that further?
I love numbers and how they interact with each other and how a balance sheet tallies.
Okay. Anything,
And
anything beyond? I mean, it's just numbers
taxation
or
is my favorite thing. Filing people's taxes was my favorite thing to do.
okay, when I make money, I promise you I'll come and meet you. Okay, so on that. Okay, okay, as you're growing now, you're 24, and you
Hmm.
said when you're 24, last year or so, they told that you had autism. Okay,
Hmm.
so what was your reaction like when you first
I
heard?
couldn't believe. I couldn't believe.
Okay,
I just couldn't believe that I have something called autism, because when you look at a new perspective, it sounds like a disease to you. But when I went to the group of autistic people in Facebook, they said it's not a disease, it's a different ability.
okay, so what's your different ability? What would you rate yourself as your different ability?
Like a 7 or something.
Pardon?
If would have gotten proper support in my childhood, I would be extremely successful. But because of all the trauma of bullying and things like that, I couldn't be that. I couldn't
Okay,
use my resources because I had a lot of weaknesses.
for all the parents who will be watching this program, okay,
Mm.
as and when they watch it, What will your advice be to them?
Please accept your kid as they are. Please don't try to change them. Please accept them. And I know better, for lack of better word, I know what not accepting looks like.
So what does it look like?
It looks like rejection, pain, and misunderstanding all the time. And instead, and a negative label attached to you, that you hate your relatives, you don't want to get married because you're hyper feminist, or something, all wrong labels attached to yourself.
Okay. Considering again.
The autism label is better than negative labels.
Okay. Since again I'm coming back to your conservative family, I'm sure they'll be forcing you to get married now.
Yeah, they
Right?
are.
They are. Okay.
Every day that happens in my house, the
Okay.
conversation.
So how do you discuss it? How do you deal with it? I'm sure a lot of other people are also facing the same issue.
Yeah, and that is the thing, that autistic people don't get that much. Either they're asexual completely, or demisexual, or some people who, as I say, every autistic people is unique. So some develop feelings later on in their life when they learn all that. Some don't. Some are on the LGBTQ spectrum.
Okay, so when you discuss with your parents, what's the kind of discussion you have around marriage?
I get scared and I just I go into shutdown episodes.
What exactly is a shutdown episode?
I just can't deal with it. It's just exhausting for me.
So what happens?
Heart beats fast. I just want to cry because I can't relate to becoming a wife. To me, the word wife and marriage are kind of, that is not meant for me. So yeah, I go into that rage, or else it manifests itself into rage.
So
I want to just remove myself from that place.
So how do your parents react to that?
They tell me you're just finding excuses not to accept responsibilities.
How can friends help in these situations?
I think friends can help when you have accepting. As I say, acceptance is key. Once you start accepting your your friend or your daughter or your son as they are, it makes a lot of difference. They're not alone anymore. And I think I have a question. Did she take any therapy? My answer is no, I did not, because it was inaccessible. And even today, I need therapy, but I can't access it. And I'm taking therapy from all Facebook groups and all that thing.
So, what do you think needs to be done to get access to therapy for people like
mental health should be destigmatized. The stigma around mental health should be removed. And the second point is that there is nothing wrong. Brain is a part of your human body. When you get asthma, you don't go out and tell people. When a person comes and tells you that they have asthma, you don't tell them, if you have to cure your asthma, you need to breathe better. But when it comes to mental health, they keep telling us, oh God, you should be happy. You should learn how to be happy with whatever you have. You should be content. And all these platitudes, like, contentment leads to happiness, and all that is crap to me. When you're really in depression and anxiety, no amount of positive talks really help you.
So what can help an individual? I mean, you were discussing all apathies here. So what really can help an individual? I'm sure there are a lot of people going through that at various stages.
Half of depression goes when you start accepting others for who they are, sir. Let me be honest with you. In India, many parents spoil their kids' life because they have hyper expectation on kids, saying that my kid is born, he should learn all this, and at the certain age he has to become class topper. After certain age he has to finish the degree. At certain age they have to get married. And to me, arranged marriage is just another bad thing which is happening around the society, which I cannot escape because I come from conservative society. My only hope is to get a life partner who will support me for who I am.
Okay.
So first of all, the expectation, and I think as or I used to speak to one person called Karen. She's from Australia. When I said about all this Indian rituals and all that, she used to tell me, in India, it's not about love. It's all about transactions. Your daughter, give dowry, get married, and all that is crap. When
Yeah,
a
but
person genuine,
you're talking about how others should react to you. I'm looking at a situation where there is no support from the society to an individual. So,
mm,
considering there is no support, how does the
yeah,
individual manage to survive?
take one day at a time, one moment at a time.
How does one take that moment? What do you do in that moment?
You have to live for today. Don't take any decisions for tomorrow because, as you know, even for a neurotypical person, life is uncertain.
Okay, let's look at your typical day in your life as of today. Okay, from
Yeah.
morning today to now,
I
what
function in
what?
routines. I need routine.
Okay, so tell us your routine today. What happened?
I get up at 5, 4, 5:30 or something.
Mhm.
I have to study till 6, 6:37. Then 7:30 I go and get dressed up to for office. Then afternoon I come for lunch. Then after that I go for office again. Then I come evening. Then again I study.
Okay, how's your office atmosphere? Because there's a lot of talk about inclusivity in today's world. Okay,
Yeah.
diversity, inclusivity, there are a lot of terminal use. How real do you see it in the real world?
For autistic people, offices are little bit sensory difficulties. Like, the lights are so bright. But when I ask my colleagues, they are like, no, the lights are normal. Or if a person is giving me instructions verbally, I can't take it. I cannot process it. I have to ask that person at least 7 times. And I have worked in two offices. One office used to be like, oh my God, you're not supposed to ask too many questions. You should know better because you're a CA student and you're supposed to learn better by yourself. But now, which I'm presently, my mom is supportive. Even if I ask her 10 times, she guides me.
So, what do you think officers should do? Are they really inclusive if you look at the bigger story?
No, they aren't.
Okay, so what is wrong with the officers?
First of all, when we say oh, we are autistic, they just think of it as a disease and they steal some things from us. Like, oh God, you're autistic, so you're mental, and people start making fun of you when you disclose that as such. Then, secondly, atmosphere wise, loud lights, too much of noise. And if you tell people to be quiet, it's perceived as rude. I don't understand this concept too. It's okay to tell a quiet person to shut up, to talk more. But when we tell an extrovert to talk less, it sounds offensive to them. And lights and noise, and sometimes, when communication wise, where we are blunt and we overshare. So
Can you
to
explain
avoid
that? What is overshare?
it's an autistic trait, so where you want to share everything when you know about a particular thing or something. For example, I would go to my friend's place just as a friendly meeting. I would end up talking about taxation and audit there also,
That means
because small talks, I don't know, maybe if I talk about this, they may really feel like, oh God, Lakshita has a life, Lakshita has a voice. So yeah.
do you know any of other friends of yours, people you know in the group or you talk to or whatever, who also are autistic? And
In my
if yes,
in my physical space, no one, sir.
okay, in your virtual space,
Maybe
you
my
know.
parents are autistic because it's genetic. I mean, whatever that word is, genetic. Yeah, that's a proper word. But they have masked so well, and coming from conservative society and lack of education on neurodiversity, sexuality, and all that affects a lot. And I think we know Indian kids know how to, do addition, subtraction and multiplication better than how to handle their own emotions.
So how do you think you should handle your emotions? Let's take an average story.
Learn about your emotions and learn how to analyze, dissect your emotion into a smaller bits, and try to tackle one thing at a time. And there's a thing that it's called rat race.
Yeah.
There's something called rat race which the world is going into, but we autistic children are left behind. Autistic people are left behind because we have a lot of issues on our insides where we cannot go cope up with neurotypical peers.
What is it about neurotypicals that you can't cope up with?
They know how to deal socially, and in interviews also, everything what is seen bad, it is autistic traits. You have to maintain eye contact with the interviewer to exude confidence. Again, autistic people lack that thing, and we shouldn't shake, we shouldn't stim, and again it is a direct attack on autistic people. And proper dressing code, and some autistic people dress for their sensory needs, not because they want to look good or something. For example, I am a girl, I don't dress like a girl. I would rather wear things which are comfortable instead of things which are stylish.
You are talking about in interview and stuff like that you need to behave like a neurotypical.
Yeah, we have to mask. And
Can you give me any example of any of the interviews you faced where you
I faced a lot of interviews in my college placement training, sir.
Okay, what can you share some examples?
I was actually interviewing Ford company. I'm not Ford, Infosys company. For after my BCom, they came for placement in my college. They told me, by knowledge wise, you're very, very brilliant, but you have to improve your body language, but still we would take you. You have to look me in the eye. They told us as an interviewer, you have to look us in the eye, and you should not shake yourself too much, and you should do all these things. And unfortunately, all what they told was about my body language was autistic behavior, and I didn't even know that they were trying to tell me not to be myself but to be a robot, a programmed corporate robot.
See, you said you want to manage your emotions. How are you managing your emotions?
Taking one day at a time. When I'm sorry, I know it's an unhealthy coping mechanism. I pour myself in Facebook groups, I share myself in various groups. I would take one problem and share in multiple groups, order to, let them, and they kind of, pacify my emotions.
Is it a common trait or exclusive to you?
It's my exclusive trait. And when you are in a bigger city, and when you're in Europe or Asia, UK or US, things are very different. And I have a lot of international face or autistic people as my friend. For them, it's accessible. Like, I know they also have issues, but still they feel that and our culture is the main problem here. They tell me, like, for us it's accessibility, and we are not shy to talk and portray that we need some things. But here, if we talk, we are called names, all negative names. Oh, she's too demanding, or she's too touchy, or she's too, sensitive.
There's a question from one Rajini, okay?
Yeah.
It says, did knowing that what you feel, do, etc., can be explained by this condition called autism bring relief, or because of lack of mental health support, did it just add to the frustration?
I would tell
Rajini, I think you should come online and ask this question because I'm not able to understand it. Did you understand?
I understood, sir. I
Okay,
understood.
sure.
So I think she meant realizing is a relief, because I know I'm not alone in this whole stimming thing and things like that. For me, it
We lost you.
was like when I found out I was autistic, it was like doing. It was a relief, but still, it is a struggle knowing that I am not I'm not like other people. And as girls, as boys, if you don't fit in also, it's okay, you won't get called names. But if as a woman, if you don't fit in and if you don't do what others are doing, it kind of hurts because you're different.
Okay.
That
Let's
as always, women are put more pressure to be normal and more pressure to be a certain way than men in the society of conservative people.
What about the future that scares you?
The whole marriage process, the change which comes with marriage, and the whole change which comes from sharing myself with someone where I don't even know if whether I'm feeling some things for that person or not. And the whole thing of my career lagging behind because I'm not neurotypical. Yeah, some people are excellent in their career fields, but I have ADHD too, so it contributes more struggles to it.
So, what do you want to happen around you to make you feel comfortable? I mean, see, something
First,
like Hoopsters, okay, we are trying to bring about an awareness around mental health, okay? We are starting something called the Mental Health Watch Club. We are trying to create
yeah.
awareness at a very young age.
Mm.
So, what do you expect people like us to do? What do you want from people like us?
Raise awareness, especially not youngsters. People around 40 and 50 need to know about LGBTQ people, sexuality, neurodiversity, so that they don't pressure kids into marriage which they don't want. Second of all, everybody is going to take to grow at a certain speed, certain level. Just because person A's daughter is growing so fast, person B daughter is not growing, it doesn't mean something is wrong with her. Everybody is going to grow on their own pace. And the acceptance of parents, third things, like I think education creates acceptance.
Okay, so what do you want to change in the education system?
Instead of learning all these rote learning about physics, chemistry, biology and all, I think in the biology itself they have to inculcate the topic of neurodiversity and even sexuality. And
Um,
today it's like, parents don't want us to talk about sex at the age of 29, even before marriage, and suddenly after marriage they expect us to produce babies. It makes no sense. I think the parents should sit and explain what life is truly about. And other people learn from friends, but autistic people don't have friends that much because of all the issues what they face. So yeah, parents should take time to talk about sex without hesitancy and without shame.
can you explain a typical conversation between you and your parents? What's a typical conversation like?
My mom is a gossiper. My dad keeps telling me you're not good enough. You have to improve yourself. And I don't know. And I can't see the gray area of where development should be. I need explicit instruction as to where I went wrong. I need to be told where I'm going wrong to change myself. So yeah, my relationship with my parents is not good at all.
I mean, hearing you talk the way you're talking today in the last 1 hour, I think is brilliant. So, how did you manage to get yourself together to come and speak today?
I actually was in office. I was at meeting with the client. Maybe that same fervor came here too.
Okay, so when you're dealing with your client, don't you feel any hesitancy? Isn't that there a social issue?
Mm, it is, sir. But I kind of, I have a script. I should stick on to what is professional and what doubts I have to ask only that, not to overshare everything and to maintain a certain sort of decorum or something.
How difficult is that?
It is difficult where sometimes I'm expected to look at their eyes, or when I'm supposed to sit still in the office because a client is in front of me discussing their tax returns. And yeah, tax is my favorite, so I kind of concentrate on their subject more than them.
Okay. So, have you had any interesting experience with clients? I mean, the way they interacted with you or reacted to you?
Yeah, some people kind of normal people, kind of, do small talks like, how is your family? And they keep asking invasive questions. And I'm like, what are you going to gain about all this? Please stop trying to have a conversation which is not professional with me. But still, I have to answer that respectfully because they are my clients. And yeah, I accept it.
So actually coming back to that, you said your discussion conversation is scripted. So in these situations, when there is the script goes beyond the script, how do you manage it?
I don't know. I keep blabbering like this.
Oh, you're not blabbering today. Definitely not blabbering.
I know politics is a favorite subject for everyone. So yeah, I kind of talk about politics and all those stuff, which is normal, which looks normal to normal people, but for me, it's special interest.
Okay. So is it okay to say that you can be manipulative?
No.
No. Can you explain?
I'm not manipulating anyone. I'm just trying to live my life. We don't have, as an autistic people, we don't have hidden agenda or something.
Yeah, I want to talk more about that because that's one thing I believe very sincerely, that being autistic, there is no agenda. Okay. So how is that? So how do we look at it?
We speak our minds. We speak our minds. Some things are very uncomfortable in social situation. For example, if I say a person that arranged marriage is wrong in my society, I post, and I've got into so many troubles because my poetries are provocative, and because I don't see hierarchy or something which doesn't make sense to me. Some things are just pointless in neurotypical society, sir. Let me be honest with you. Some things are just pointless hierarchy, and it doesn't make sense to me.
So how do you handle hierarchy in your organization?
I think my ma'am is kind of, like my mentor. So I see her as my teacher. And I am the manager there, so I am the second most. So I don't have a hierarchy there.
Okay.
But it's very hard to give direction to my juniors. I can't delegate work so easily. Then I go into guilt trip saying that, oh God, I might have been socially awkward by delegating them. Then I keep apologizing 1,000 times, saying, I'm sorry I gave you this work. But I have a friend who counts how many sorries I say in a day. In a day, I say up to 500 sorries.
So that's very interesting. So do you think people who are autistic also feel guilty? Is there a lot of guilt in them?
I don't know. Maybe it's only me.
Okay. Yeah, because Mehul wants to speak to you. Mehul, you can come online and ask a question. You can do that. You can switch your mic on.
Yeah, I'm audible.
Yep, you're very audible.
Hi, Lakshita. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine.
You are an amazing person. I'm so glad I'm here today to witness you talk and listen to you. I have seen very few people like you who are so courageous. And okay, let me introduce myself. I'm a stage 4 throat cancer survivor. I was given a month to survive, but it's now 7 years. I'm still alive, and
That's great.
I'm doing well. And I could relate to many things that you were talking to, like not in that, but yeah, it's a taboo. Even cancer is considered as a taboo, and people look to you in a different way. And I have been through those experiences. But okay, that apart, I want to tell you that.
Mehul, let me just sorry, let's carry on the conversation. I join you in 2 minutes. Okay?
Yeah.
Keep the conversation going. Thank you.
Okay. So, Lakshita, I kind of want to tell you that you are more intelligent than most of the people. More intelligent, because I'm a college dropout. Okay. I'm in the US now. I work as a fraud investigator. I investigate financial frauds in banks. Okay. So that you love numbers. I hate numbers. I never could do maths. I never could pass out college. So I had all that criminal mind in my head, so I could do financial fraud, and now I'm trying to work on it because that is what I knew. So I'm good at that. So there are so many things you are good at which other people are not. So take that as an advantage, and it will. Believe me, I've grown up 40 years in India, in Pune, in India. So I know how schooling is there and how things are there. But Nowadays, it's a small world. That's not a big deal. Okay. I can work in a US company sitting in India. That's all you need is an internet. And it's a very small world. And I have gathered a few things about strengths about people with autism. Strengths, okay, a few that I could think of. I have a childhood friend who stays close to my house. We still are in touch with each other, and he has autism from when I know him. He's doing well, and recollecting from what I know about him, I have gathered a few points. I would like to read out to them. I read out to you about those points. Ready for them? Okay.
Yeah.
So, people strengths with people. Strengths and abilities in autism, like people who have autism, see, they learn to read at a very, very early age as compared to other kids.
I used to learn computer textbook at the age of 6. I used to read my brother's college textbook, my cousin brother's college textbook.
See, I'm right. So yeah, so you are definitely 100% much better than all those kids around you. And then they have a great memory, and they are quick learners, and they have a very good thinking and visually thinking ability, what I could understand from what you were talking. And they are good logical thinkers. They're usually excel in academics and in engineering.
And I think the logical point is what makes me different from the whole Indian society, because here it's all culture, tradition, religion. They take these as a basis of decision making process. But I would take it as a very logical step. For example, arranged marriage serves only parents and they just want to get rid of their responsibility. But I would ask them, the life is to be lived by us, not them. So why use religion and all these things just to, carry forward your religion and blood or something, whatever? That doesn't make sense to me logically.
I agree. That's not easy to make them understand, because they've grown that way. Their minds are wired that way, that it's difficult for them to understand what we think at this age.
Yeah. And again, when I have conversation with my parents about all this, they think, oh God, for you're hyper feminist and that's why you're behaving like this. Or you know what, oh God, you are wanting to be independent. You don't want to take your responsibility of being a wife. You're running away from your responsibility. I don't see myself as a wife. So if I don't want to do, I don't want to do. What logical reasoning do you have to force me into a relationship which I don't want to?
I understand, but again, they are your parents, so you have to deal with them. You will, and I'll tell you, trust me. At a point in life, you will find a partner who will perfectly understand you. Life is you. You are still like 24, right? So
25.
you're definitely 25. So yeah, definitely there is someone made for you, and I'm sure you will come across some partner who will understand you and who will take you along in life. But yeah, but that being said, let me continue with my list. And then people are very precise and detail oriented. They are very honest. They are very punctual. They are very excellent. They have an excellent sense of direction. They have strong adherence to rules. They have a drive for perfection. They have a capability of solving problems. So you have some of these, which I just saw in the last 1 hour. So you are much, much, much more talented than most of the people I know. So don't think negative about yourself. Always, Ati, when a elephant walks, that dogs are going to bark. So just take it that way. I do the same. I'm the best. I don't care for the rest. Nick, you are unique. Okay, you are unique. Don't just ignore just negative people. Keep them away. Do what you think is best. And trust me, if we get a chance to talk again, maybe after a year or two, you will be in a very, very different position from where you are now. I can see that. So I just wanted to, sorry, I didn't want to take much time, but I just wanted to let you know that you are the best, and never underestimate and just ignore negative things and negative people. Walk on. Keep moving. Thank you, Bala sir, for giving me a chance.
Thanks, Mehul. I know. As a matter of fact, we're going to have a talk with Mehul on Thursday at around 5 o'clock Indian Standard Time. And thanks again agreeing to come on the show, because we need people like you to spread the inspiration. You know, what we lack today is inspiration. We're all stuck with a lot of negativity, all around us.
Yeah.
And Rakshita, yes, and for the audience, I mean, we got a decent amount of people watching the show. You got the next 10 minutes. Anybody wants to talk about it, ask any questions, talk about any issues you have got, discuss anything, please feel free. Come on, guys, let's make it more interactive. I'm sure you guys got questions. Angela, you got anything to ask?
No, sir.
No. Anybody else? Anybody's got any ideas of how to?
I think Elizabeth asked me one question. How do you learn academic subject? Picture, photographic memory. But as I told, some subjects were my strong points. Some I was extremely weak. For example, Hindi, I used to be very weak. And I didn't cope well. I passed with good numbers. I barely scraped through when I was in 12th. My board exam. All my logical subjects were, I got the cutoff of 93%. But Hindi, I got only 50%. So my total went down so badly. If it is a special interest, I learn it with full interest. But if I am not bothered by it, I will not touch that subject at all.
Okay, so what are the subjects that interest you, Lakshita?
Logical based subjects. And in creative field, I like English. I like math. I like all kind of typical subjects like accounting, taxation, law, auditing, and cost accounting, management accounting, and economics.
Sure. Okay, that's interesting.
I used to like biology and chemistry too, and physics, because physics taught us about logic of life. But I hated moral science and things like that.
Tell me one thing. I mean, let's get back to the counseling part of it. After you met somebody, you had a friend who was a psychiatrist, and you got to understand other things. Did you try looking for other psychiatrists to help you?
I take solution from actually autistic people, because psychiatrists have book knowledge, which doesn't help. But real autistic people have real understanding towards the situation much better. I mean, come on, if I have to talk about taxation, if I just read the book, I will not know it. But if I am a tax expert and I'm doing the tax work, I will know much more better than this. Lived experience is much different from book learned experience.
So do you think there's a need for a very sincere group of people who are diagnosed with autism?
Yeah, that's why we have a Facebook call. I think Shrishti, I met Shrishti there. She directed me towards you, and that's how we are having that.
Yeah, I should really thank her. I mean, she's been wonderful doing that. Yeah, I think it's been absolutely wonderful.
And I think more than that, one person called Wolf Traverso, she kind of tells us that being autistic is not a disease, it's a different neurotype. And we have something called AU, which means autistic gold. And there are so many misconceptions about autism which is spread by psychiatrists. They have something called ABA, Applied Behavioral Analysis Therapy or something, which doesn't help autistic people. It is just conversion therapy for autistic people. And at the end, the kid is traumatized, but the parents is of the fact that, oh God, I made my kid normal. But they never made their kid normal, but they've made their kid traumatized. And there are so many groups where autism parents, I would say, they kind of come and gain sympathy around autism, saying, my kid is having autism, I have difficulties raising them or raising him or her. I think, and when we go out, these people dominate us and say that, oh God, you're not supposed to do this, and this is not autism, you're not like my son, you're not like my daughter. Every autistic individual is unique with their own difficulties. You cannot tell a neurotypical student that you're not like my 5-year-old neurotypical son. Or some people are non-verbal who cannot speak. Some can speak but have the other issues. As I always say, low support needs don't get help, support, and high support needs don't get agencies.
That's interesting. Hello. That's okay. Okay, Lakshita, I mean, I've got another 5 more minutes to end the whole thing. What are the most hilarious myths and misconceptions that you have heard?
What?
The
Can I?
most hilarious misconceptions and myths that you have heard around autism.
That's a disease.
Okay.
Second is that it can be cured.
Mhm.
Third is that a 5-year-old autistic person is just the same as 90-year-old autistic people. The fourth one, that's all I know of.
Yeah, I think it's been wonderful. I think it can go on and on. I'm sure we would really
Yeah.
love to have you on board. Help us build this community. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's very important to have people like you on board and create awareness. We have somebody very interesting online. I hope she's still there. Shivani, can you hear?
Yes, Bala, I can hear you.
Perfect. Shivani, do you have any questions? Shivani runs this wonderful organization to support adults who are autistic, right?
1 minute, sir.
Yes, Bala, you were addressing.
Yeah, do you have any questions to ask Nikita? Because since you both are in a similar field, if nothing else.
What
Yes,
would
ma'am.
you tell parents? What would be your advice? What would you tell parents?
I
In
would
short,
tell parents to accept their kids for who they are.
okay.
For secondly,
Yeah,
please don't force autistic people to socialize.
yeah,
I know in Indian society, oh God, आज इसी की शादी में जाके सबके साथ बात करनी है, सबके साथ घुल मिलना है, and all these things, it really hurts us.
yeah.
Third, please, when we are melting down, don't think of it as a tantrum. We're just responding to too much of stimulus.
Very nice. I agree. I
And fourth,
agree.
and
Yeah.
fourth, we have our own different pace to grow up. Don't force us to grow up with neurotypical kids.
Yes.
We are not going to catch up their speed.
Yeah, you're unique and you're wonderful. And we need to enter your world and not make you enter my world forcibly. I believe I should be happy just as you are.
Yeah.
And only when I let you bloom like that in your situation, understand your situation, I agree with you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shivani. Lakshita, thank you very much. I think we will close. We finished your 1 hour time of yours. But please do share your poetry. We would love to see what it is. And
sure.
do support us in our initiative to create awareness. We are trying to put a group together, a team together.
Yes.
Keep in touch and also connect us with other friends of yours whom you think wouldn't mind coming and talking, because it's extremely important for people like you to come and talk.
Yeah.
Okay, so do help us in our endeavor.
Yeah.
And like I said, you are wonderful, and I'm glad you came on the show. So anything else, guys? Anybody has anything to ask? 1 more minute to go. You can put your video on and your audio on and come and ask a question. Anybody, anything, feel free. Okay, looks like we don't have any questions, but everyone's very happy that Anita has mentioned, very glad and happy to have seen and heard from you, which is nice. I'm sure we've all got something to take away, and this is how awareness begins. So thanks, Lakshita, and thank you everyone for coming on the show. We are doing a lot of good stuff, And do log on to hoopsters.in to know more about what we do. And you can connect with us anytime you want, and let's bring about a change. The whole idea is, can we bring about a change by the way, in the way things are. And we are connecting with some wonderful people, and you will hear a lot from us. So please feel free to connect with us. And again, like I said, thank you very much.